I never imagined my Special Forces training would be needed in our quiet suburb until 3 imposters in tactical gear assaulted my wife on our own property. That afternoon transformed everything. 3 individuals wearing counterfeit law enforcement vests charged onto our land, claiming HOA law. One committed the gravest error of his existence. He struck my spouse, Rebecca. By sunset, their facial features bore little resemblance to their morning appearance. Before we explore this further, share which country you're watching from today. Let's observe how widely this narrative spreads. The entire incident began earlier that day when Rebecca went outdoors to tend our flower beds. She observed an unfamiliar dark vehicle circling our block repeatedly before parking opposite our home. 3 men emerged wearing black tactical gear with polished enforcement patches attached. Initially, they appeared legitimate, but Rebecca instantly detected inconsistencies. Their equipment belts were inexpensive nylon with synthetic holsters and none possessed communication devices. Actual officers never operate without radios. The tallest individual marched directly toward our yard. "Ma'am, HOA compliance inspection?" he demanded, displaying credentials so artificial they resembled children's toys. Rebecca inquired calmly, "Since when does the HOA employ police personnel?" That's when the second man smirked and declared, "We're not employees, ma'am. We represent authority here." Rebecca instructed them to depart immediately, reminding them that unauthorized property entry constitutes illegal activity. Instead, the third individual advanced closer, his palm resting on the imitation baton at his hip. When Rebecca retrieved her phone to document them, he slapped the device from her grasp. Then, in a moment that ignited my fury, he struck Rebecca across her face. That's when I emerged outside. I'd been in the storage area organizing previous equipment when I heard Rebecca's exclamation. I witnessed her holding her cheek, while these pretenders inflated their chests like property owners. Everything within me shifted from neighborly tolerance to operational readiness. I approached them directly and stated, "You gentlemen selected the incorrect residence. You possess approximately 5 seconds to identify your employer." The tall one smirked and claimed, "The HOA director informed us you've disregarded notifications. We're ensuring your compliance." He attempted to intimidate me visually, but I've confronted militia leaders and combatants. A suburban impersonator wearing fake equipment doesn't register significance. I instructed Rebecca to enter our home and secure the entrance. She didn't protest. She recognized I intended to conclude this performance. I advanced closer, speaking basonely. "Contact my spouse again, and you'll require assistance departing." They laughed, but their false confidence fractured when I requested their identification. They refused. Genuine law enforcement must legally identify themselves during official actions. That's when I recognized they weren't merely trespassing. They impersonated officers, a federal felony offense. And right there, in midday visibility before multiple neighbors, I determined this wouldn't be overlooked. The instant I confirmed these individuals impersonated authorities, restraint dissolved. I hadn't raised my hands yet, but I adjusted my posture. Feet anchored, shoulders aligned, vision focused. This mirrored the stance I utilized during deployments when situations approached violence. The 3 pretenders must have sensed this transformation because their amusement faltered. The tall one, evidently the self-designated leader, pointed aggressively toward me. "You believe you can ignore HOA regulations?
You received warnings regarding your vehicle, your boundary structure, and your so-called military canines. We're enforcing compliance requirements. I felt dark amusement rising within me. Primarily, I stated, my voice controlled yet sharply precise, I park lawfully. My fence complies with municipal codes, and those dogs represent service animals protected under disability legislation. Secondly, I stepped forward, compelling his retreat. You're illegally present and misrepresenting officers. That means decade-long incarceration with favorable outcomes. The shorter individual attempted reputation preservation. You cannot threaten us. We'll restrain you here immediately. He fumbled with the synthetic fastener of his imitation duty belt, extracting toy-grade restraints that wouldn't contain an adolescent. That concluded it. My final reserve of patience evaporated. I moved rapidly. My left hand seized his wrist, twisting until the restraint clattered to the turf, and my right elbow connected with his jaw in a precise, measured strike. He collapsed like weighted fabric, moaning on the lawn. The second individual charged, swinging his baton. I evaded, captured his arm during the motion, and utilized his momentum to rotate him across my shoulder. He impacted the pavement with sufficient force to silence observing neighbors gathering along walkways. The leader froze, eyes widened. Momentarily, he attempted maintaining the deception. "You're attacking officers!" he exclaimed. I entered his personal space so closely he detected my perspiration. Negative, I'm preventing 3 criminals from assaulting my spouse. Significant distinction. That's when Rebecca appeared at the doorway holding her reactivated phone, this time recording everything. Already contacted the sheriff department, she announced. They're en route. The leader muttered profanity and attempted fleeing toward their vehicle. I wouldn't permit easy escape. I grasped the rear of his vest, distracted his balance, and pressed him against the vehicle front panel. He struggled, but reality remained. He possessed no training, merely false confidence and an attached badge.
When authentic deputies arrived, 2 imposters rolled on ground, clutching injuries, and the third faced downward on the vehicle, with my knee applying dorsal crusher. The deputies acted immediately. Weapons drawn, they commanded, "Display your hands." I elevated mine instantly, retreating while Rebecca identified the 3 impersonators. Those individuals assaulted me. They pretended to represent law enforcement. The deputies disarmed them, removed the counterfeit vests, and within minutes, truth emerged. The primary instigator broke first. Under duress, he confessed the HOA director had paid them cash to discipline us. That represented the moment I comprehended this transcended mere harassment. This constituted complete conspiracy. If this property rights account engages you, please like and follow Winds of Thought, because the legal resolution becomes increasingly substantial. At the sheriff's station, the 3 so-called officers appeared pathetic. Their fake uniforms were evidence-bagged, their wrists properly restrained now, and their narrative disintegrated by the second. During interrogation, they admitted what I already suspected. The HOA director, Margaret Collins, had employed them. She instructed them to physically intimidate me, frighten Rebecca, and ensure our compliance. When deputies turned to me, inquiring about pressing charges, I didn't hesitate. "Absolutely," I responded. "Officer impersonation represents felony behavior, and assaulting my spouse will carry severe consequences." Margaret, however, wasn't prepared to concede. By that same day's conclusion, she possessed audacity to file litigation against me.
She alleged I utilized excessive force and damaged HOA reputation. She even argued her hired enforcers represented security contractors and I had over-responded. My attorney nearly chuckled reviewing the documents. "This represents opportunity," he informed me. "We'll countersue for harassment, assault, and conspiracy. Since you possess video documentation of all events, this won't conclude as she anticipates." The court proceeding arrived rapidly. On one side sat Margaret, smug in her formal jacket, whispering urgently to her legal counsel. On the opposite side, Rebecca held my hand, composed and stable, with our attorney prepared to dismantle their entire case. The judge didn't delay. He'd requested the HOA's lawyer to present initially. Their argument appeared weak, constructed upon falsehoods, and collapsed when Rebecca's recording played in the courtroom. There we appeared, Rebecca being struck, me cautioning their retreat, the counterfeit badges, and the assault in full daylight. Each word, each defensive action, each desperate authority performance was captured with perfect clarity. The judge reclined in his chair, unimpressed. "These men represent criminals, and you, Mrs. Collins, employed them. Not only is your lawsuit dismissed, but I'm imposing penalties for legal system abuse." My attorney stood, his voice measured yet firm. "Your Honor, we're submitting countersuit today. Conspiracy to commit assault, deliberate infliction of emotional distress, and HOA harassment. My clients deserve compensation." Margaret's complexion paled. Her artificial confidence crumbled as realization intensified. When the gavel descended, the judge had not only rejected her case, but mandated her personal financial liability. The HOA board members present in the gallery avoided visual contact during departure. Her intimidation empire collapsed before her vision. Regarding the 3 impersonators, they remained detained without bail, confronting multiple felony charges. The sheriff personally shook my hand following proceedings. "Fortunate you maintained composure," he remarked. "Most individuals would have frozen. You likely protected your spouse from worse outcomes." I nodded, holding Rebecca closely. Margaret believed she could control us through fear, through deception, through hired strength. Instead, she lost everything. Never mistake peaceful living for weakness. Real capability remains quiet until required. Real strength protects what matters most.